Okay, let's jump into a really fascinating deep dive today. We're looking at a passage from the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 48. And this isn't just, general prophecy. It's like an incredibly detailed blueprint.
Hmm.
It lays out this very specific vision for how land gets distributed among the tribes of Israel in the future, and even the exact layout of a holy city. Super specific.
That's right. And what's so compelling, I think, isn't just the amount of detail. The measurements, the boundaries, the names. It's the feeling you get from it.
Mm.
This profound sense of order, purpose.
Right.
It feels less like humans dividing up land and more like a divinely set structure.
Yeah.
Everything has its place, its significance, and it all points towards the center. It really shows how this future order works.
Absolutely. So our mission, really, for this deep dive is to sort of walk through this blueprint together, step by step. We want to unpack the vision, understand the different areas, how they relate, and just get a feel for what this really intricate plan is telling us. What does this level of detail communicate? Let's see what stands out to you as we explore. So let's maybe start with the big picture, the overall division of the land among the tribes. How's that initial layout described?
Well, it's presented as a very, very systematic division. You have to picture the whole territory divided up into these 12 distinct strips. And they run uniformly from the eastern border right across to the western border.
Okay.
Each strip is for one of the tribes, and interestingly, they're described as being equal in width.
Equal portions
Yeah.
for everyone, running the full width of the land. That's quite something. And is there a specific order how they're lined up?
Yes, the source lists them starting right at the northernmost boundary and then moving south. So you get Dan, then Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Ephraim, Reuben, and then Judah. That makes up the northern group of these strips.
Okay, so 7 tribes stacked up in the north. Then there's this unique central area we need to talk about, and then the rest of the tribes are south of that.
Exactly. Below that central section, you find the portions for Benjamin, then Simeon, Issachar, Zebulun, and finally Gad, right down at the southern border.
Got it.
So you have these 12 ordered territories, neatly bordering each other, each one a defined strip running east to west. It really gives this sense of complete organization across the whole land.
It does. It paints a picture of such deliberate, planned distribution. Like, no arguments over who gets what corner, no uneven shares, just perfectly partitioned an inheritance.
Precisely. And that systematic approach, that's maybe the first clue, that this isn't just about practical geography. It's depicting an ideal, a divinely ordered setup.
Okay, now right in the middle of all these tribal strips, something different happens. Between Judah up north and Benjamin down south, the source talks about a special gift, or a sacred portion.
Yes, this is where the focus really sharpens. Instead of just another tribal strip, this large central area is specifically marked out as holy, set apart. It's described as a perfect square, 25,000 cubits on each side, east to west and north to south.
Wow, 25,000 cubits. How big is that roughly?
Well, 25,000 cubits, that's roughly about 7 miles. So try to picture a square, 7 miles by 7 miles, sitting right in the heart of the land.
Okay.
And this isn't just any land. It's explicitly called a special offering, a holy portion. And crucially, it's where the sanctuary is located.
So this 7 mile by 7 mile square is the absolute core of this whole blueprint, placed deliberately between the northern and southern tribes. And even within that big square, there are more divisions.
Yes, it's carefully partitioned again into 3 main sections, and each has a specific purpose tied to, well, the sanctuary and the community's life.
Let's break those down then. What's maybe the most significant part inside that square?
The most sacred part takes up the northern section of this 25,000 cubit square. It measures 25,000 cubits long, east to west, so the full width of the square, and 10,000 cubits wide, north to south.
Sweet.
And this is designated specifically for the consecrated priests.
And the source is quite specific about which priests, isn't it? It mentions the Zadokites.
That's a really crucial detail, yes.
Yeah.
It specifies this land is for the priests descended from Zadok.
Yeah.
And it highlights that they were the ones who stayed faithful in their service when other Levites apparently went astray, according to this text.
Right.
So this most holy portion is given to those who showed that steadfast loyalty. And the sanctuary of the Lord itself, it's located right in the center of this priestly portion.
Ah, so it's layers of centrality.
Exactly. The holiest place is inside the sacred portion for the faithful priests, which is itself inside the larger holy square. It really emphasizes the holiness.
That focus on the Zadokites getting this prime, most holy land, it really feels like a point about faithfulness being, well, recognized and rewarded. Okay, so that's the 25,000 by 10,000 cubit portion for the priests. What about the Levites?
Right next to it, immediately south of the priest's portion, there's an allotment for the Levites. This also measures 25,000 cubits long, east to west, and 10,000 cubits wide, north to south. Same dimensions as the priest's area, but this is for the Levites who, served in other roles around the sanctuary.
Okay. And is there anything special said about their land, like instructions?
Absolutely. The source is very clear.
Hmm.
This land, the Levites' land, it must not be sold or exchanged.
Ah,
It's considered, along with the priestly portion, the best of the land. And because it's holy, it's permanently dedicated. It can't be alienated or traded away.
okay. So within that big 25,000 cubit wide central square, we've got 10,000 cubits north-south for priests, another 10,000 for Levites. That adds up to 20,000 cubits of the width. What's in the remaining 5,000 cubits on the southern edge of that square?
Right, that final strip. It's still 25,000 cubits long, east to west, but it's 5,000 cubits wide, north to south. This part is set aside for the common use of the city.
Common use, so like where people live.
Exactly.
Right.
This is the area designated for people's houses and also for pasture land. And just like the sanctuary is centered in the priestly part, the city itself is located centrally within this 5,000 cubit wide strip.
Okay, so the whole central holy area is 25K by 25K cubits, divided north to south. 10K for priests, 10K for Levites, 5K for the city area. Makes sense. Now let's zoom right into that 5,000 cubit wide city strip. The city itself has its own specific dimensions within that.
It does. The city proper is laid out, again, as a perfect square. This one measures 4,500 cubits on each side, north, south, east, and west.
4,500 cubits.
Yes, and this city square sits right in the middle of that 5,000 cubit wide strip allocated for it.
And you mentioned pasture land. There's provision for that too.
Yes, immediately surrounding the 4,500 cubit city square, on all four sides, there's a dedicated area just for pasture land. It's stripped 250 cubits wide.
Got it. So let's see. The city is 4,500 cubits across, plus 250 cubits of pasture on one side, 250 on the other. That adds up. 4,500 plus 250 plus 250 equals 5,000 cubits.
Exactly.
That fits perfectly within the 5,000 cubit width given for the whole city area. Okay, but what about the rest of that long strip? The city strip is 25,000 cubits long, east to west, but the city square with its pasture is only 5,000 cubits long in the middle. What's on either side?
Ah, good question. That's the land designated specifically for the workers. Remember, the whole city strip runs the full 25,000 cubits east to west.
Right.
The city square plus its pasture forms a 5,000 by 5,000 cubit block right in the center. The land that remains, stretching out from the east and west sides of that central city pasture block, is set aside as workers' land.
So if the city pasture block is 5,000 cubits east-west and the total strip is 25,000, yeah, there's a lot left over, 10,000 on each side.
Precisely. The source describes this workers' land as being 10,000 cubits long on the east side of the city pasture area and another 10,000 cubits long on the west side. And both these sections run the full 5,000 cubit width of the city strip.
And what's it for? Just farmland?
Yes, specifically for cultivating crops to provide food.
Food for the city workers themselves, or for everyone in the city?
The city workers. And the text specifies who these workers are. They'll come from all the tribes of Israel.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so it's a system of provision and sustenance that actually involves the entire nation. Everyone contributes to the city's well-being. It just adds another layer of this integrated community feel.
Okay, so let's recap where we are. We have the tribal lands, north and south, then the large 25K by 25K central holy square, divided into portions for priests with the sanctuary, Levites, and the city area. And within the city area strip, we have the city square, pasture land, and this workers' land stretching east and west. What about the land that surrounds that entire 25,000 by 25,000 central square? Still within that band between Judah and Benjamin, who gets that?
That area is designated for the prince. It's not actually part of the central holy square itself, but it lies right next to it, extending outwards.
So Pharaoh adjacent on which sides?
All four.
No, just on the east and west sides of the entire 25,000 by 25,000 cubit secret city square. So picture the central square as a block. The prince's land fills the space from the eastern edge of that block all the way out to the eastern border of the whole land. And similarly on the west side, from the western edge of the block out to the western border.
Okay.
And these areas run the full north-south length of the central square. 25,000 cubits situated between Judah's border and Benjamin's border, just like the square itself.
And the source makes a point of saying the sacred portion, the one with the sanctuary, is in the center of this whole area, belonging to the prince.
So the sanctuary isn't just central to the priest's land and central to the Holy Square, it's also positioned centrally within the prince's territory. Wow, that theme of centrality just keeps getting reinforced, doesn't it, on multiple levels?
It really does. It's a powerful visual statement, about where the ultimate authority and focus really lie, not just politically or geographically, but divinely.
Okay, let's circle back to the city itself. That 4,500 cubit square in the middle of the city strip, it's not just the layout inside that's described, but also how you get in and out. The gates.
Yes, the city is given a very specific and I think symbolic design regarding its entrances. It's planned to have 12 gates in total.
12 gates. And the names are significant.
Absolutely. Each one of the 12 gates is named after one of the 12 tribes of Israel, and they're distributed evenly around the city walls. 3 gates on each of the 4 sides of that 4,500 cubit city square.
Okay, so break that down. On the north side of the city.
On the north side, you find the gates named after Reuben, Judah, and Levi.
Okay, east side.
East side, you have the gates of Joseph, Benjamin, and Dan.
South side.
South side features the gates of Simeon, Issachar, and Zebulun.
And the west.
And finally, the west side has the gates of Gad, Asher, and Naphtali. That covers all 12 tribes.
Every single tribe has a named gateway into this central city. That's powerful representation. And the total perimeter then, if it's 4,500 cubits per side times 4, that's 18,000 cubits all around.
Correct.
But, while all these dimensions and names are incredibly detailed, really significant, the source seems to save the most powerful detail for the very end. What is the ultimate identity given to this city? What's its name?
Yes, after laying out all the physical details, the layout, the dimensions, the gates, everything, the description culminates with the city's name.
Yeah.
From that time on, the name of the city will be declared as the Lord is there. In Hebrew, Yahweh Shammah.
The Lord is there. Wow. That's a name that changes everything about what the city is. It's not named after a founder or a place or something that happened there.
Exactly. It's named after a presence.
Yeah.
It just crystallizes the whole vision we've been talking about. All that detailed organization, the centrality of the sanctuary, the special holy portions, the way all the tribes are involved through the gates and the workers' land. It all points to this. It points to this being a community, a place whose fundamental identity, its whole significance, comes from the fact that the divine is present, abiding right there within it.
So when you pull it all together, this incredibly meticulous division of land for all the tribes, this large central sacred area carefully broken down for the priests, the Levites, the city, then the detailed blueprint for the city itself, the dimensions, the pasture, the workers' land supporting it, those symbolic gates, and then finally, that name, the Lord is there. What does the sheer level of divine architectural planning, this social planning, what does it really communicate to you? Why is this degree of precision and order so emphasized here?
Well, what really stands out is the absolute clarity, the intentionality. This isn't a picture of, messy human history or organic growth.
Yeah.
It's presented as a perfect preordained structure. The precise dimensions, the specific locations, they seem to emphasize divine precision, the importance of holiness, of order. The separation of the sacred portions clearly highlights the priority of God's presence and service.
Right.
And singling out the Zadokites, as we mentioned, it underscores the value placed on faithfulness. Then you have the provisions for everyone, city dwellers, workers from all tribes, the gates named after the tribes. It all symbolizes this unified community. Everyone has a place, everyone contributes, and it's all centered ultimately around that divine presence. It's really a vision of a completely restored, perfectly ordered society and land, where God's presence is the single defining characteristic. This is the inheritance, fully realized, structured totally by divine command.
So we've taken quite a deep dive into this really remarkable, intricate blueprint today. We walk through the ordered tribal lands, stretching east to west across the territory, and we spent a good bit of time focusing on that large, central, sacred portion, so meticulously divided up for the priests, the Levites, and the common use of the city.
And we explored the specific design of the city itself.
Yeah.
Right within that central area, that perfect square with its dedicated pasture land, and the land for the workers who sustain it, drawing, importantly, from all the tribes. We also looked at the significant land set aside for the prince, flanking that central sacred area on the east and west.
And we saw how the city's 12 gates, named after every tribe of Israel, bring that representation from the whole nation right into the heart of the city walls. All of it building towards and culminating in that incredibly powerful defining name for the city itself. The Lord is there. Yahweh Shema.
Yeah. And maybe something to think about further. Consider what it really means for a city, for a whole society's structure, for its very essence to be defined simply by the presence of the divine. How does this kind of divinely dictated, perfectly ordered plan for land, for layout, for community, how does that contrast with the way societies usually plan things? The often messy, complex, very human-driven ways we organize land and cities.
Hmm.
What does this level of detailed sacred order suggest about ultimate purpose? About where true security, true identity might be found, at least according to this vision? That's definitely something worth reflecting on, I think.
Absolutely, a lot to chew on there. Thanks for exploring this fascinating vision with us today on the deep dive. Keep pondering these ideas.